Hey, this is Brian. Thanks for watching Kies. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to install CSF's auxiliary coolers that work on the S55 Powered M2, M3, and M4. These drop in just like your OEM unit with no modification required, which is one of the reasons that I love them. They have a 7% increase in core size and 10% in tank, giving you the best cooling possible on one of these cars. And to protect them while you're on the road and track, they come with these pre-mounted rock guards to make sure that your coolant is going to stay in your car and not spill out on the track, ruining the track day for all of your friends. So with that, let me show you how easy they are to install. All right, for this job, we need to get the front of the vehicle off the ground enough to get a coolant pan under it, because we are going to be spilling a lot of coolant, and we're going to show you how to fill it and bleed it later on in this video. First thing we're going to do, I'm going to lift the car up. As you can see, we're using a lift. A lift is overkill. You do not need to do this. You can just use something like a jack and jack stand, but to give you guys the best angles possible, we're going to throw it up in the air. All right, with the front of the car off the ground, we can remove the front wheels. All right, so now what we can do is we can remove all of these 8mm in the front section of the wheel liner so that we're able to remove that, and then we're gonna have easy access to the cooler, which is right over here. So let me show you where the screws are. You have 2 up top over here, 1 in the middle, 1 on the side, 3 across the bottom, and then 2 more up the top. Once you've done that, simply flex the bumper out just a hair, and then you can pop out your liner like so. Just make sure you don't get any crud in your eyes. And you can set it to the side. All right, so now that we have the front fender liner out, what we need to do is remove this piece of protective plastic from the bottom. This again is held in by these 8mm screws. There's one over here, there's one over here, and over here. So at this time, let's remove them. And this slides out just like that. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to disconnect the lower and the upper hose. Make sure that you have a way to collect and appropriately dispose of this coolant. A lot of auto parts stores will take it. So I like to start with the bottom one, and you're gonna take some kind of pick tool. I have this one over here. It's pretty cool. It's flat and it's not super sharp. So what you do is you pop out the clip until it stops just like that. And then I'll try to stay out of your way. Just gonna wiggle it back and forth a little bit. And then what you do is pull it straight off. And we're gonna do the exact same thing with the upper one. And what I like to do at this point, so I don't lose the clips, is just clip it back in. And then you can just let this drain for a minute. Next, we're going to take a T30, and you're going to remove the bolt up top here that holds it in. So that pulls straight out like that. Then what we're going to do, you're going to rock it forward and then just pull it out. It's held in with these 2 little grommets down below at this point. So just rock it forward. Try not to spill coolant everywhere. Wiggle it up, and then I'm just gonna empty this thing so I don't get coolant all over my table. And that's how easy it is to remove. All right, so here we can see the OEM unit and the CSF one. One of the things I really like about this, instead of using an additional piece of plastic to just waste space, they just build everything into the cooler. You can see over here that the pegs are just welded on. And again, it also has this nice rock guard, so it's gonna keep out the cigarettes, the birds, and the bugs, hopefully. All right, so then what we're going to do is we are going to get these 2 pegs over here. They're going to slide into this grommet. We're just gonna rock it back. Okay, move that out of the way. Just rock it back. Then you can reinstall your T30 and tighten it down. Okay, then you can take your upper hose, just get it on and snap it on. You're gonna hear an audible click. And then do the same on the bottom. Okay, just like that. And with that, this unit is fully installed, and the other side of the car installs just as easy. Now with these units, both units are exactly the same, so you can install it on the left side of the car, right side, or what's preferred is that you do the left and right at the exact same time, especially if you're gonna go through all the trouble of filling and bleeding your coolant and all that. You might just well do it while you're there. So with that, let's reinstall this underbody protection, reinstall the fender liner, and then we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side of the car. All right, now the one big change on the other side of the vehicle is that CSF sells these as one part number, yet you're able to use it on the left side or the right side. The really cool thing about this too, if you ever go to the track and you like to just have extra parts on hand, you can keep one of these in the trunk, and whether it's the right side or the left side, it doesn't really matter. Let me show you why. So if you take a look over here, your coolant lines will run on the inside, but you can see that they come on the outside. So all you do, you take a 22 mill wrench, and then you just untwist these from this side. They just thread in, and then using a 16 mil on the inside, you release this plug. So not only can you use it as a bleeder, but you can actually swap these fittings over. So that way it doesn't matter what side of the vehicle it's on. So do that, flip that over, and we'll tighten these up, do the top, and clip it in, and the install's done for the hardware. Then you can torque your wheels down to 104 foot-pounds. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to fill and bleed the system all in one shot. So with these cars, you can't simply just pour in your coolant and call it a day. You have to do it with a vacuum bleeder. The way that this works is you're going to need an air line. This is going to be the absolute best way to do it. And then you have a hose that goes into a 50-50 blend of blue coolant from BMW and also distilled water. And then this side is going to go on your coolant tank, just like that. You can spread this out, make it nice and tight. And then I like to take the spare hose and put it in an empty container, because you'll get a little bit of spray. Then from here, you have your air line, and what this is going to do, this is going to shoot air along this way into our little container, and it's going to create suction. So let's start by turning this on, make it a little bit loud. Then from here, you're going to open this valve, and then I like to slightly open this one just enough to get the blue coolant to the end here. Now what you're going to do is watch the gauge and wait till it goes to -25, and then once it gets there, we're going to flip this one off and then this one, and we're gonna wait about 30 seconds to a minute. Make sure that it doesn't move. If it doesn't move, that's what you want, because that means you have a vacuum in the system. If the needle starts to go back down, that means you have a coolant leak. Typically what's gonna happen is you may have forgotten to fully click on one of the connections down below. Go back down there, pop it back on, and you should be good. So if you look over here, we're just about at -25, and we'll shut those two off and just hold it here for a little while. So as you can see, it is rock steady. Typically, if you have a leak, within a couple seconds, it'll start to drop, but that hasn't moved at all. So what you're gonna do now, make sure that your tube is all the way at the bottom of your container. You'll probably need 3 gallons or so for this. And then you're going to flip open the floodgates over here. As you can see over here, it goes pretty quick. All right, so then what you can do, once it stops flowing, you can just open this back up, carefully remove this, and as you can see, your coolant will be just about perfectly topped off. Sometimes it'll leave a little bit too much. If that happens, all you want to do is take like a turkey baster or something and just pull a little bit out, or you can add a little bit more. What I also like to do, we're going to do this a couple times off camera, I like to try to re-bleed it a couple times just to make sure there's no stuck air bubbles. But typically, one and done and you're good on the main system. With the coolers, with both the S55, the B58s, the S58, anything that has a charge cooler, typically these take about 2, sometimes 3 times to bleed it out to get all of the bubbles. Another thing you can do is just start the car, drive around the block a couple times, come back, and then once your car cools down, check your coolant levels again, and then bleed as needed. All right, so my level is perfect on that one. So now let's do the top one. And then once your coolant system is bled and topped off, you are totally done. And as you saw, this process is very easy. The most difficult part is doing everything with the coolant. But once you learn how to do it with this car, you can do it with pretty much any car on the market. We use the same exact method on the Porsche 911, the 328, and basically every car in between. Then once you're done bleeding and filling your system, I like to just take the car around a little bit, just do a little drive, and then come back, let the car cool off, and just make sure all of your levels are good. And with that, we're done. So as you just saw, the coolant fill and bleed was the most difficult part of this process, and it's really a skill that you should learn because you can use it not only on this car, you can do it on basically any car that you will pretty much ever own. It's super quick, super efficient. This process took us probably 10 to 15 minutes or so, so it's really not that bad. And as you saw, installing the new coolers, what did that take, like a minute? It was so fast. It was crazy fast. So again, taking the fender liners out, all the prep and the follow-up work is really where all the work's at. But even with this, with filming, we did this in like an hour and a half. So it really wasn't a bad job at all. It's super simple to do, and the cooling is going to be totally worth it. And hey, you just change your coolant too. Anyway, my name is Brian. Thanks for watching Kies. If you're interested in any of the products or tools we use in today's video, including my little bleeder contraption, see links down in the description. Visit us at kies.com. Subscribe, give us a like. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.